This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Now that Barry is officially over, it's time to take a look back at what made the series so unlike anything I've ever seen before. With the somewhat silly premise of a hitman that wants to become an actor, you could easily be fooled into thinking this is just some light entertainment before bed. But Barry's actual goals were far deeper than that, questioning the roles people play and how we fell into them, whether or not we can ever escape our past, and how there's always more to a story than meets the eye, especially if it came out of Hollywood. The show evolved year after year, starting off as a black comedy with occasional dark moments, and ending as a dark psychological drama with comedic elements. The style and tone becoming more defined and ambitious as the show progressed. While there are many people involved in front of and behind the camera that deserve heaps of credit, it would be impossible not to attribute the vision of the series to Bill Hader. If you watched the 4th season with no idea who made it, the main question you'd have is, what else has this director made so I can rush out and watch it? As there's a unique texture to the storytelling somewhere between the Coen brothers and David Lynch. Yet discovering that it's actually the show's co-creator, writer and star only makes it more exceptional. Not only that, but Barry was Hader's directorial debut, and you can see him developing a taste for it as the show progressed. Having directed the first 3 episodes in Season 1, 2 of the most striking episodes in Season 2, bookending 5 episodes in Season 3, and then all 8 episodes in the final season, totaling up to more than half the overall series. Season 1 was shot mostly like any other HBO comedy show, but with slightly longer tracking shots and an abnormal number of intimate close-ups. Season 2 followed a similar path, but with some exceptional action sequences, like the Ronnie Lily episode, which caught viewers' attention. But for the 3rd and 4th season, Hader hired Carl Hurst as the cinematographer for every episode he directed, and that also happens to be when the show adopted a more distinctive style. So let's take a deeper look at the 3 keys that made Barry's visual storytelling choices so compelling. The first key is shot reverse shot. This is a staple of traditional filmmaking. 2 characters are having a conversation and we want to see both of their faces during the exchange, so we cut from one face to the other to sustain the continuity of the story. Some directors, notably the Coen brothers, avoid over-the-shoulder framing and give each character their own personal shot. It might seem like a small thing, but decisions like this change the way the movie feels to you. Compared to the 1st season, Barry Season 4 uses a lot of these, but it's not a minor stylistic choice. It contributes one important element to the story, an adversarial feeling. A theme throughout Barry is perspective, and people who share a singular perspective tend to share a singular shot. If they don't, then they're on the other side.
You need to turn yourself in.
You're tired. I'm tired. It's been a long day.
But there is no over-the-shoulder, there's a distance between the characters, making them feel isolated. For example, we have the police on one side and Fuchs or Barry on the other. Or when Fuchs' gang are receiving negative feedback, they're all crammed into one frame, sharing the same perspective, and Fuchs' girlfriend and her daughter are on the other side, sharing the opposing view. Or Barry and John come face to face with the boy John was fighting with, 2 different families with 2 different perspectives. And then later, when John and the boy become friends, they now share the same frame together. Having practically every exchange shot like this keeps the tension high throughout the series. Most characters do not share a perspective. Instead, they're in direct conflict, coming from a different place or wanting a different thing. This subconsciously adds to the theme of morality in the show. When 2 opposing perspectives face each other, who is right, who is wrong, who will win, who will lose? The more confronting the camera angle, the more intense the conflict between the 2. The second key is unravelling information. Filmmaking is just pictures and sound, and storytelling is just dispensing information. But how and when you share each detail is what makes the story captivating, funny, or tense. Hader makes small details more involving by breaking away from convention. For instance, most movies and TV series start each scene with an establishing shot, so that the audience can see where we are and who is here, then cuts in closer so that we can focus on the characters. Whereas in Barry we frequently see the reverse. We enter in a close-up or a mid-shot and only pull back to get the full picture later. For example, this scene appears to just be Kusuno speaking to a lawyer about the impending trial for the best part of a minute, shot reverse shot. And then the scene closes by revealing that a third character has been in the room the entire time.
You'll be testifying in front of the man who threatened your family. Can you handle that?
Absolutely.
It's a small detail, but without having to add an extra scene where we establish the state of this up and down father-son relationship, with a simple angle change, reveal and a nod, we now know they're on the same page. These decisions help to layer the scene, so that each new detail adds more context to what we're seeing. Like here, take a look at what Hader chooses to hold back. Barry is going crazy in the prison bathroom mirror, even hurting himself. A complete emotional breakdown.
Bro, stop that. Settle down. It's gonna be okay.
And then we hear the sound of another voice in the room with him. This instantly changes the context of the meltdown unfolding before our eyes. It turns out we weren't watching a private moment. Barry was unleashing this insanity in front of someone else. So our mind begins to question, who is it? A fellow prisoner or someone in his imagination? And only now does Hader choose to give us the full establishing shot, so that we can see the bigger picture.
Jeez Louise.
Keep in mind, this all could have just been shot from this one angle, but instead he drip feeds the information step by step, allowing for the impact and intimacy of the performance, and then gives the audience a question before providing the answer. This keeps us engaged, as the way the information is revealed is a surprise in itself. Like here, a distraught Sally is in her childhood home, adapting to the news that Barry has been arrested for multiple murders. She gets a call from an unknown number, and just pay attention to the tempo of the information as it comes tumbling in.
Hello?
This call may be recorded. You have received a collect call from
Sally, I love you.
an inmate at California State Penitentiary. Do you accept the charges?
No.
The opening robotic voice could be anything. Then instead of saying his name, Hader uses this as a chance for the characters to have maximum communication in the narrowest window possible.
Sally, I love you.
An inmate at California State Penitentiary.
And only then does it follow up with the information it's from California State Penitentiary. If the voice had led with that, the surprise would be gone. And only once the information is established, now Hader cuts to Barry, hopeless and lost after hearing the rejection, adding a new dimension to our understanding of what we just heard. Imagine how dull this exchange could have been if Hader just opened with Barry on the phone. Then when Sally hears it's from the penitentiary, she says no and hangs up. The same information would be dispensed, but we wouldn't be left guessing and catching up every step of the way. On top of providing a visual feast, Hader ensures he's capturing your ears just as much as your eyes, embracing how different elements alter the way we hear things, whether it be through the muffled voices under layers of suffocating sand, or a telephone behind soundproof glass.
You know be fair? You know be fair? It's that Gene Cousteau stops telling my life story. That's what be fair.
Hader even captures how we consume content, as we watch Barry listen to a podcast about the morality of murder as he undergoes a long journey, even switching device from an earbud to the car's speakers.
Talking about taking a human life.
The act of killing another person.
Giving us insight into not just the information the character is putting into his brain, but his all-consuming relationship with it. These choices may not seem like much in isolation, but collectively they create the experience of the story, which influences how you feel about it on a much deeper level than simply knowing or seeing what happened. Hader values this so much that he often chooses to lead into a scene with audio before picture, sometimes from black,
and action. Hi.
Or we transition from one scene to the next by overlaying the dialogue.
You did right by my baby girl, Gene. You're a good actor.
What? You got me there.
He'll even use the title card to introduce the background audio of the next scene. Or merge Barry's fantasies with reality, starting with the sound,
Get away from me!
then breaking away into a new visual reality. This all speaks to one specific skill, finding new creative ways to deliver information to the audience. And that leads directly into the final key, long shots. This is Barry's trademark. Hader likes to keep the camera alive for as long as possible without cutting. And it really makes the show a much more immersive experience than the silly premise would allow you to expect. The season opens on a black screen, and as we just discussed, feeds the audio in first.
Tonight, the LAPD and our tactical unit apprehended Barry Berkman.
It's a news report about Barry's arrest. We then cut into picture and discover we're in a prison guard's office. Again, unraveling information. And then over a 45-second shot, Barry enters the prison in the background, slightly out of focus, and the guards notice him, tying together our surreal relationship with broadcast media and our immediate surroundings. This opening shot sets the standard for the rest of the season. Scenes that would never normally be one take are one take. Like when Gene and his friend Tom break into the reporter's home. What do you think these three shots have in common? Surprisingly, it's that they're all part of the same 125-second tracking shot. This is a beautiful, highly choreographed unraveling of information. We approach the front door and see Tom is looking in the window. Then we pan over to discover Gene is looking through the other window. So our attention is on Gene, but there's a space in between us and him. This space is intentional, as then a rock comes smashing through the window. The camera loses interest as we just hear the two men climbing through behind us, as that's no longer the most important thing to look at. The characters catch up, but notice how the camera remains more intrigued by the window, as that's where the next piece of important information comes from, the reporter's wife. So it tracks over to the door so she can enter, and then tracks back with Gene as they talk, again giving us access to the window so we can see Tom toss the computer in the pool. And then the final revelation triggers the camera to give Gene his close-up. A sequence like this would normally be shot from multiple angles and thoroughly edited, but keeping it all one tracking shot is far more engrossing. And yet that's somehow still less ambitious than the final shot we're going to look at. Here we can see Hank tries to fire a rocket at Fuchs' gang while they're eating lunch. And as we watch him miss, we don't realise that we're about to watch a whole chase sequence happen from this one location, demanding a crazy level of coordination from the cast and crew. In the absence of CGI, most action sequences involve lots of cuts, with a shaky moving camera to create a sense of urgency. But instead, Hader and Hearst's camera stays in one area and just observes the action taking place from the best angle it can get. Once it finds its new resting place, Hader re-engages us with the audio by adding a new element to the storytelling. Fuchs and Hank are now having a phone call overlaying the shootout, and we get to watch Hank flee the scene like an ant in the distance. So even though we're visually far away, Hader still finds a way to bring us up closer to the action again with the audio. This is sensational filmmaking from start to finish, mixing surrealistic fantasy with dark psychological drama with extensive action sequences and light comedic touches. And although it would have been crazy to imagine just a few years ago, with this final season, Bill Hader has cemented himself as one of the most promising and innovative directors in Hollywood. Taking what could have been relegated to just another standard black comedy, and transforming it into one of the most immersive and ambitious television experiences in recent memory. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Everything is online these days, and there's no better way to deliver a strong first impression than an elegant, professional-looking website. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform you can use to build your brand and grow your business, so whether it's showing off your creative work or selling a product or a service, Squarespace makes this process so much smoother. For example, let's say you're a creative person but you don't know how to build your own website using code. Then Squarespace offers you their own ready-made templates that you can adapt to seamlessly fit your brand. And if you wanted to expand into blogging, Squarespace helps you to categorize, share, and schedule your posts so your followers can stay up to date with everything you're producing. Or if you're a YouTuber like me, you can embed your videos on your Squarespace site, so all of your work from other platforms is available in one place, like a virtual calling card. So go to squarespace.com for your free trial, and then once you're ready to launch your page, use my promo code OBSERVATION to get 10% off your first website or domain purchase. Well, if you've made it this far, firstly, thank you for watching, but if you could now give the video a like, possibly even leave a comment and click on that subscribe button, it will encourage that mysterious algorithm to do its thing. And if you want to support the channel personally, you can check out my Patreon.